The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Morenci Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36622. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. First, let's take a look at the driver's side of the vehicle, and we'll focus in on the cab section, first starting at the front bumper area, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. This is part of your lower emergency warning lights. Just up from that, a turn indicator marker light. You'll also find easily accessible with a gloved hand your door handles, which do have a keyed entry point. Right next to those, you're going to find the grab handles for gaining entry and exit out of the vehicle. Just to the rear of that, of the driver's door, is where you'll find your auto eject shoreline inlet. And then also right next to that is where you'll find a additional side-facing emergency warning light directly over the front axle. As we move to the rear of the cab, it's where you'll find a D-handle gains access to the rear portion of the compartment door, and there's also storage located within inside. At the top, you'll find a side-facing scene light. As we move toward the rear wall of the vehicle, you'll find your LED water tank level indicator, and directly above that, you'll also find an emergency warning light. Let's take a look now at the pump panel area. We'll get back to this in just a few moments. Let's go back to the body section. We're at the very bottom section at the pump area is where you'll find a pull-out standing tray. Moving just to the right of that location in front of the rear axle, you'll find 2 folding wheel chocks. Also a emergency warning light in the lower section directly over the rear axle. And at the top, you'll find side-facing scene lights and an additional warning light. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full view. Driver's side, all compartments open. Then we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus. Access the hose reel in the lower section and space saver tailboard. Then we'll take a look at the passenger side full view, and then focus in now on the cab section. Same configuration and layout as we've previously talked about, and then same configuration and layout on the body section. Let's go ahead and take a look with all compartments open. And then let's go ahead and start with the front of the apparatus. First, starting in the face of the front bumper, dual air horns, passenger and driver side, electronic siren, PA speaker, dual passenger and driver side. As we move up to the face of the body on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside of that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. As we move up, you'll find an additional cluster. The outer edge has a marker turn indicator and then emergency warning lights, and then directly above that, grab handles for gaining access to the windshield. There's 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find a mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. As we move up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find within the forward-facing flood the ID clearance lights and then also your floodlight. As we move up to the very top section, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And then located directly above the light bar is the go light, which is the spotlight controlled from within inside the cab area. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, starting with the front bumper extension. Moving up now to the roof line area where you'll find your forward-facing floodlight. Then let's move around to the side of the vehicle. Let's go into the driver's space. First, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls for all 4 windows, and then a grab handle. At the base of the seat area, you'll find this yellow placard from the manufacturer indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, and all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid capacity type. Let's move now to about the left knee of the operator, where you'll find the master battery switch. It is the silver switch. You'll also find the engine, transmission, ABS J1939 diagnostic port for your maintenance team, ABS diagnostics, DPF regen,
engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. Just up from that, you'll find the ignition and start switch on the left side of the dash cluster. You'll also find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. To the right, headlight switch and panel switch, allowing you to brighten and dim lights within preview of the operator. To the right, the high idle indicator switch and OK to engage high idle indicator. As we move just up from that location, you'll find the transmission, oil, def level, and water temperature gauges. To the right, you'll find front air, rear air, volts, and fuel level indicator. In the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the steering column. Down lower is where you'll find the pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, to engage pump operations prior to exiting the cab of the vehicle. As we move just a general view to the right of the operator, let's start in the very center section of the right of the dash panel, where you'll find a monitor for your backup camera system. Just to the right of that location is your windshield wiper control, push for windshield wiper fluid. As we move just down from that location, you'll find an engine brake on and off, a setting switch for low, medium, and high, the load manager, and then also mirror heat. Let's move just down from this location from the switch panel, where you'll find the yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake, and push to release. These are your brakes. To the right, the Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout with an informational note to pump in drive. Moving just down from this location is where you're going to find your mirror control for the flat mirror. Let's move back up toward the dash area, where you'll find climate control. This is for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. And then we'll move just to the right within the same vicinity, where you'll find 2 unit radios. And then we'll go ahead and move overhead from the driver's seat, where you'll find this yellow placard. This placard is indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. First, the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 6 inches, length 30 feet 1.63 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 46,500 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may affect this, please update this placard. Let's move to the right, where you'll find some switch panels. First, we'll find the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Just to the right of this location, an additional switch panel. Let's start first with the high beam flash, air horn, electric horn switch. There's a selector switch between the two, and then siren horn, same thing, selector switch. To the right, you'll find all of our scene lights. First, let's start with the front scene, driver's scene, passenger scene, driver's side rear scene, passenger side rear scene, and perimeter lights. When any of these switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate within the switch itself. As we move further to the right, you'll find the control module for your go light. This is a spotlight over your emergency warning light on the roof. We'll also find in the center your siren control module and PA speaker. Just down from that is the traffic advisor. As we move just forward to this location toward the windshield is where you'll find your seatbelt information. Red indicating someone is in the seat and they are not belted. Green indicating they are in the seat and belted. Moving just forward to that location is the HOS system. This is your traffic identification collision information module. As we move just to the rear of that, you'll find a red puck indicating do not move your apparatus. If this is flashing, you may have a compartment or door open. As we move toward the center, you'll find map book storage location. Moving toward the rear of the seat, when plugged into shoreline power, this outlet will become active. You'll also find directly behind the driver's seat, this is the manual handle for the cab tilt. Let's move back to the exterior, where you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject 20 amp plug. You'll also find the battery voltage indicator right next to it, and then also when plugged in shoreline power, the light will illuminate indicating it has power. As we move further down, you'll find Alcoa wheels, also a visual sight gauge for your front axle, and Goodyear tires. As we now move to the rear section of the cab, first let's start with the door panel. Affixed to that panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and also a grab handle. As we move just inside the cab, you'll find 2 rear-facing SCBA seats. As we move toward the rear wall, you'll find 3 forward-facing SCBA seats. The 2 outer portions do have flip-up lower sections on the cushion. General view here, just forward-facing. In between the 2 rear-facing SCBA seats is this lift and turn latch. This gains you access to your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's take a quick look toward the rear wall once again. Fixed seat in the center. 2 outer edges have a lift-up seat. Overhead, push on and off white or red lenses and your intercom system. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section of the cab wall where you'll find this D-handle gains us access into the compartment directly at the rear of the cab. We'll start next with the pump panel or midsection of the truck, starting at the top with your crosslays, crosslay 1, crosslay 2, and crosslay 3. As you can see by the red lettering, they are all foam capable. Let's move now to the pump panel where you'll find a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because the line's coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. Also the Hercules calf system, which is your blue module. To the right is the Husky foam system module control, and then also the right next to that is the foam level indicator for your Husky foam system. In the gray module, you're going to find the master intake gauge, and then right next to that you'll find the master discharge gauge. Located in between the 2 of those gauges are the test gauge ports. They are marked, and these are for testing purposes only. Let's move down where you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. Just beneath that, you'll find the Hercules CAFS activation switch just below that for your CAFS system. As we move down to the very far left-hand side, you'll find a warning placard indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after you've received proper training. Also, you'll find color-coded and labeled discharges. These are not foam capable. Moving further to the right, you'll find a green LED indicator. If you've engaged your pump properly inside the cab, this will be illuminating. Just beneath that, you'll find a red switch. This is your air horn. And then also a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening the cap. Let's move now just to the right of this location. First, we'll start with your pressure throttle governor. Please see the owner's manual for more information on this device. Right next to it, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to brighten or dampen the sound. You'll also find a switch panel located on the far right to control scene lights. As we move further down, you'll find this remote control operation. This is for your MasterStream device, and then also an extender to raise the MasterStream device above the level of the cab and body. To the right, you'll find the tank fill and recirculating line, and then also your water tank level indicator just below that in the blue module. Further down, you'll find the tank to pump. As we move back up to the right-hand side, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then also your push to prime for your air prime. There are instructions just beneath that for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs when engaging the fire pump primer. Moving just down, you'll find these 2 placards indicating the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over those in a few moments. Also, your 2.5-inch discharge located on the driver's side. As we move down, you'll find the placards for your Husky 12 foam system, specifications and also instructions for its operation. Also, a warning placard indicating when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move just to the right, you'll find your American flag Eagle Pierce logo. This is your large diameter driver's side inlet. To the right, you'll find your manual pump shift, and moving further to the right, you'll find the main pump drain. Let's move further down where you'll find the RPM counter. This is for testing purposes and is currently plugged. Also to the right is the intake relief valve. This is a control module for that. There are instructions on its operations directly on the placard itself. Let's move down where you'll find this placard, always face the vehicle while climbing onto the vehicle. Also, you'll find your air inlet and air outlet. This is truck air. And then just to the right, you'll find the CAFS air outlet. This is from your CAFS system. Also, color-coded and labeled discharge drains and the 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, locally controlled ball valve female inlet. As we move further to the right, you'll find the wattress placard indicating the type of pump you have and the capacity of your pump. Also your auxiliary foam function, fill inlet, and also drain. As we move further down, you'll find a warning placard regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the pan door on the right, behind the pump panel is where you'll find this yellow handle. This is either for operation mode or foam fill mode. You'll also find your foam pump intake drain and foam pump discharge drain. We have the pump panel board fully extended release underneath on the right and left side. Let's go back to those placards indicating a 1,250 GPM capacity water pump, and then your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250. The associated GPM is located on the left side of the placard, and on the right side of the placard is going to be your RPMs associated with that test pressure, governed speed, 2,400, 5-digit job number in the upper left-hand corner. Let's start with a few of the compartments now. We'll start in the very top section of this compartment. This is when plugged into Shoreline power, your battery charger will activate. As we move through the compartment now, you'll find LED lighting with inside the compartments, roll-up compartment doors. Just below the compartment here, you'll find in front of the axle SCBA bottle storage for 2, and then also the fill location, 4.5 US gallon Dept tank fill. It's the blue cap. As we move to the very bottom section, you'll find your axle here, rear axle, Alcoa wheels, and Goodyear tires. Let's move back up now to the top section where you'll find 2 additional SCBA bottle storage retaining straps, and then also the silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. Let's move to the next compartment back. You'll find an adjustable shelves and a pull-out tray in the very bottom section. The release mechanism for that tray is located on the lower right-hand side. It will lock into position also. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, you can see the Space Saver tailboard has been deployed. Access now to the booster line. Also, as a warning regarding fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion. Also, entanglement hazard, because the line's coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Please be cautious. Traffic advisor located in the center, recessed. Also, a backup camera recessed in the very center. As we move down, you'll find your 2.5-inch rear discharge. This is on the driver's side. And then just beneath that, you'll find a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Once again, be careful when opening them. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the booster line. You can see on the booster line right-hand side, free tension spool knob and also manual rewind. And then this is an electric push button reel rewind. As we move to the ladders, you've got at the very top section a 10-foot folding, 24-foot extension, a 14-foot roof, and then also 3 positions for long-handled tool storage. Also, right side scene lights. This is a cupped switch located here at the very back of the truck. As we move around to the passenger side, on the rear wall, you'll find an equipment tool board, also adjustable shelf, and a pull-out tray release mechanism located on the lower right-hand side. As we move toward the center compartment, once again, 2 SCBAs in front of the rear axle and 2 to the rear. Those do have retaining straps inside for securing your SCBA bottle. Once again, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel. As we move just up from that location, in front of the rear axle is where you'll find your exhaust. We do have a warning placard indicating extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, and be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. As we move forward to this location, ventilation LED lights inside those compartments. Also, you'll find a Shoreline outlet. This is a 20 amp. Once again, when plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet becomes active. As we move now to the mid section of the pump panel, let's start at the very top section with your crosslays. Because of those crosslays, warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. As we move down, you'll also find the cab lift module. There are instructions on this placard itself for raising your cab and also lowering the cab. Just as a reminder, make sure all items are secured with inside the cab area prior to lifting your cab. We do have some caution and danger information on that placard also. This is going to be your strainer just behind the pump panel. And then also, as we look down to the very bottom section, this is your relief valve. There is settings markers on the indication of that relief valve. Also, warning regarding pressure hazard. Because of those lines, there is the possibility of entanglement and also pressure hazards. As we move to the right, once again, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. We're now moving to the cab section now. At the very rear section of the cab, D-handle gains us access into this space, and now we'll move inside the cab area, fix the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch. We've already seen the inside of the cab, so we'll move through these images relatively fast. 2 rear-facing seats, and then also the 3 forward-facing seats. Intercom system, push on and off white or red lens. The 2 outer seats on the passenger and driver's side. The lower seat cushion does lift upward for getting access into the rear section of the cab. As we move to the front axle, sight gauge, Alcoa wheels, and Goodyear tires. Let's go ahead and go inside the officer side. First, let's start with the door panel. Fix the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system and airbag. We do have a warning placard indicating the airbag information. Also, be cautious when mounting any equipment within this area. To the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. This is on the A-pillar. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the cab area where you'll find air horn and also electronic foot pedal push buttons. And then also, as we look over the very top section, you'll find this warning placard. They are a placard indicating red and white warning, spare wiring behind the panel. It indicates the type of wire and then also the termination and amps on the wire. Please do not remove these placards. As we move further to the left, you'll find your Firecom intercom system module. And then as we move just underneath, you'll find the wireless base station module. Moving toward the center, once again, speakers for your radio system and then also map book storage. As we move to the cab roof area, you'll find these placards indicating a non-walking surface, and that's because of fall hazard. Let's move through the rest of the compartments here at the top section of your vehicle. First to the dunnage area where you'll find your master stream device and then also your CAFS system. As we move through the Husky system, you can see on the vertical wall in the very back section, you'll find this hydraulic reservoir. There is a visual sight gauge on the face and then also a shutoff valve in the lower portion of the hydraulic reservoir. As we move to the top of the rear body, you'll find these yellow diamonds indicating the edge of the walking surface for firefighter safety. Also, you'll find hatch compartments. There are 2 on the passenger side and then also 2 on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and move back toward the front dunnage area, which is going to be the top fill location for your foam and water tank. And you can see the indications on the actual tank itself. They are labeled on the top of the tank, one for water fill and the other one for Class A foam. As we look to the water tank, we do have some warning information. What I would like to point out is on the foam tank A, we do have a warning regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for that possibility of foam failure. As we move now, there are 2 hose dividers in the rear section of your hose bed. The next set of images are going to be with the chassis area. I'll point out a few items within here. When tilting the cab, make sure all obstructions are clear, items secured. Once it's in the full upright position, stow the arm in its secured area to the upright portion of the cab. At this point, do not lower the cab back onto the safety bar. It is purely for safety. You should maintain pressure behind both cylinders. Shown in this image is your TAC 4 suspension. This is the front axle area. Let's move just to the rear of the frame area where you'll find your battery storage location. Just on the underside of the battery is where you'll find your studs located positive and negative. Also, right behind the battery section or within that same vicinity, you'll find this hydraulic reservoir. This is for the cab tilt reservoir and cab tilt motor. Also, directly behind that is the location where you'd insert the manual handle for cab tilt. The next set of images are going to be that of the underside of the chassis and then also back to the engine component areas. Congratulations, Morenci Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36622. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.